everyone. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Easton Park Talk. I'm here with Dr. Patel and Dr. C of Enamel Dentistry, and they're coming to Easton Park.
Hopefully in January.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Positive vibes only.
Oh, yes, of course. And that's what you're going to get from this neighborhood. So this is a really cool neighborhood. A lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of solopreneurs, micro businesses, and Easton Park loves to stay in Easton Park, which is very cool. So now they can go to the dentist here. So tell us about you guys and what's different about you than the dentist down the street.
Yeah, I mean, I think a good place to start is just a little bit about us and why we started it.
Yeah.
Right. And so the story is me and him worked for the same company. We graduated dental school. We worked at the same group, and we worked with a lot of really amazing people, great dental assistants, good dentists, great admin teams. But it never felt like we were given the opportunity or we're put in a position to do the best we possibly could at the practice we were. So then, of course, we're 26 years old and we're these guys are dumb. They just have 30 offices. They don't know anything.
No big deal.
Yeah. We know how to do this and we can do it on our own. And so that's kind of was the vision of what we wanted to do.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it started off as just hey, we're going to do this thing, see how it goes. We opened our first practice off South Lamar, and we did everything everybody told us not to. Don't open in a very saturated area. Don't open with multiple providers. You have multiple mouths to feed, but it just felt right, and we just went for it. And, it was fun to begin with, and it was very exciting. There's a lot of learning, a lot of growth, and, the whole thrill of it is what made it so worthwhile.
So how long ago was that?
2015, 2016. We opened the first office in 2016.
Okay.
Technically, the first day was Cinco de Mayo. But there was no patients that day, but we decided that was the first day.
Yeah. I love it. Just because it was
or it's Cinco de Mayo.
I love margaritas.
You can never forget,
Yeah.
Never forget. Cinco de Mayo. It's perfect. That's amazing. So that was your first location.
Yes.
It's now been 10 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Close to.
And you have how many locations now?
Easton Park will be number 9.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many employees do you guys have?
Lose track sometimes, but 65 to 70.
That's serious.
Yeah. It's a big operation.
Yeah. Congratulations.
A lot of people. Thank you.
Congratulations.
I appreciate it.
That's hard. That's really not a simple thing to do. And you're in multiple, not only multiple locations in Austin, but are you also in Dallas?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have one location up there.
And where else?
That's it.
Austin and Dallas?
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome. And y'all are from Dallas, right? Or somebody's from Dallas?
I grew up outside of Dallas. Yeah.
Okay. What part?
So I grew up mostly in Irving and right 10 minutes away from Cowboy Stadium.
Okay.
And right before I started high school, we moved to Southlake. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. We have a client in Irving and Los Colinas area,
yeah.
and it's beautiful.
So nice.
Super
a lot
nice.
of people say Dallas, and until I started working up there, I was Dallas.
Yeah.
But Irving and Las Colinas and that whole area is really very cool, very trendy. What's the big Toyota Music Factory?
Yes.
That's a cool little spot.
Yep.
It is, yeah.
It's very, very cool. We went to Mets, and who would have played the Mets? I'm not good at baseball. Who's
The Rangers?
The Rangers.
Okay, there we go.
Of course. The Rangers. And it was really fun. It was a good time. Yeah, I like it up there. So tell me, there's so many things I have to ask you, because dentistry itself is just such a cool thing, but also scary for a lot of people. So I would imagine that there's a psychology to your practice, because we were talking earlier, most people are scared to go to the dentist from the time they're children till they're adults. So how do you kind of manage that?
Oh, absolutely. We talk about it. That's the first thing is, we have these conversations pretty openly when we have our doctor meetings. Hey, understand that, these are the cards you're dealt. People come in and they see you, but they're there because they know it's good for their health, but it's not something that they're necessarily looking forward to, right? So, your approach, the way you interact with people around you, just have some empathy around how uncomfortable it is. Your mouth is a very, intimate part of your body.
Right.
And to have somebody leaning over you, which is already kind of a, just not a comfortable feeling. And then, their hands are in your mouth. So, so make sure when you go in the room, you just have a little bit of that wisdom. And as you're doing the work, keep that in mind that, make sure you're checking in on the person. How are they feeling? And like sometimes it's really easy when you're looking through those loops and all you see is teeth, and you're good at fixing teeth, but then you can kind of forget that there's a whole human body around it that you gotta
right. Like,
that you gotta take into account.
Yeah.
And I think we do a really good job of that. I think we emphasize that a lot with all the docs, and I think our reviews kind of speak on that as well.
Yeah. So your website, I spent some time looking at your website, and you guys are like, look, there's laughing gas, and you do a really good job of explaining like what each one is, which I thought was really comforting. So like, if someone's nervous to go to the dentist, like I'm nervous to go to the dentist every time, but like I'm like laughing gas nervous,
right?
That's fine. I like laughing gas. It's fun little adventure. It doesn't last very long, but you guys also offer IV like sedation,
right?
Yeah.
What does that process look like?
Typically, most of the time that's reserved for like surgeries, like wisdom teeth and stuff like that.
Okay.
Right. So right now, I don't think we have any docs that do IV sedation for treatment. Right.
Yeah.
Like normal, like get your teeth cleaned
exactly.
or whatever.
But typically, there's a lot of people who have missing teeth or need teeth replaced, like a dental implant. So that's something we can do IV sedation for. Or obviously, everyone knows wisdom teeth stuff. Essentially, you come in, you do just like any like sort of sedation. You have to like have someone, take you home, bring you there.
Right.
But you're not like fully asleep as if it was general anesthesia.
Right.
So you're conscious, but you just don't remember anything.
Yeah, I had an implant, and it's funny. The last time I went to the dentist, and we're looking for a new dentist, so found them.
Yeah.
But they were like, I remember I was young, and I had a root canal very young on this tooth, and they had like, I don't know what happened, but it did not go well. And so like as I became, like it was in college, and they had to do like an implant, and they're like dentists every time since I've ever been to a dentist since, they're like, dang, that's a long screw. It's like way up here. And it's always really funny to hear the reactions to that. But I was like asleep.
Yep.
But it was like Twilight, but a little deeper than
exactly.
Twilight, which was also awesome.
That's kind of the point. Yep, exactly. You still want to be like conscious, but not necessarily remember it.
Yeah, but you can't drive after.
No, definitely not.
But you can drive after laughing gas.
Yes.
Totally.
It's like laughing gas, it enters your bloodstream super fast and leaves your bloodstream super fast.
Cool.
So like literally you can have it, and then we just have to put our patients on oxygen for 5 minutes, and then like you're good.
Good to go.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It just flushes right out.
Yep.
Yeah. So what services do you guys offer?
Pretty much like almost everything under the sun. So we're general dentists, right?
Okay.
So we do your basic bread and butter stuff. You need a cleaning, fillings, crowns, like basic stuff. Root canals, we have a specialist that does come to our office, like an endodontist.
Yeah.
If it's a little bit more complex. And obviously, one of the things a lot of our doctors love to do is Invisalign. It is one of the few things as dentists we get to do that's fun, and that doesn't like, I don't have to poke anybody.
Fair enough. It doesn't like hurt.
Okay, I would argue more than just Invisalign is fun, but yes, Invisalign is fun.
Okay. Fair enough.
Nice. And lots of cosmetic dentistry. We have some really amazing dentists that are like ridiculously good at cosmetic dentistry, right? And so that's where every office is a little bit different, because every dentist skill set is different, right? Everyone brings a little bit of something different to the table, but that's where we're able to kind of do a little bit of everything.
Cool. And so if I were to go to you guys and like I need a new set of veneers bad, like I've had these for a long time and it's time, is that like if maybe in the Easton Park office that dentist isn't there, you might.
Well, that will be. So Dr. Wiley, who's our partner at that office, she's like really big in the aesthetic stuff. So
amazing.
Super good.
Yeah, Easton will definitely be one of our more aesthetic practices.
Very smart. Did you guys do that? Was that on purpose?
No, she's just like overall badass.
Okay. Awesome. Are you going to pull her up? Dr. Wiley?
Yep, there she is.
There she is. That one.
Dang. Y'all all have the best teeth, which I guess makes sense, right? Like, I mean, I would hope that you all do. Do you do dentistry on each other?
Yes.
A little bit.
I did Invisalign on you.
Yeah, that's true. We did Invisalign on each other. I was a terrible Invisalign
Horrible patient.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Not good.
Why?
Non-compliant.
Yeah.
Okay. We're in HR. I hate non-compliance. It freaks me out.
The longest Invisalign case I've ever done. He's been doing it for 6-7 years now.
You said he has been doing it, so you're
Well,
continuing.
Are you still doing it?
No, I stopped.
Oh, okay.
No.
You quit?
Yeah. Look, again, so I tell patients this story whenever I talk to them about Invisalign, about the importance of compliance, and I tell them, don't be me.
Okay.
Like, don't be me. But the reason we did it, right? When we first opened our office, Invisalign's like, hey, here's some discounted cases, but we had no patients. So then I'm like, what am I supposed to do with these? And then they're like, I guess we'll do it on each other.
Okay.
Which, like, for something that requires a lot of commitment, when you didn't really care about it that much in the first place.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just making an excuse. I just didn't follow through.
Okay.
But I got my bite corrected, which is what was the point. So
Of Invisalign?
So that's how I like to have Invisalign conversations, because I always thought it was really weird to be like, you came in as a patient, I'm like, hey, you want your teeth to be straighter? You know, like that just felt weird.
Yeah.
For
So
sure.
a lot of that, when we do Invisalign, a lot of the focus is, hey, long-term health, bite, longevity, like let's get the teeth in a better place. So we have to do less dental work in the future. So, and sometimes it's like a lot different than what people are used to hearing, but that's also just like makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
Not saying, and you know, the beautiful straight teeth is a great side effect we get.
Of course. Yeah.
But function is what he's talking about. So that's what we like to focus on, right? Because the two big like superlatives about the mouth is your jaw is the strongest joint in your body, and your mouth is more bacteria than anywhere else in your body. So
really,
yeah. So when your teeth overlap and that kind of thing, like you know, outside of like the cosmetic side of it, it creates plaque traps, right? So you're just more likely to build up bacteria in those areas, and you get a lot more inflammation in that areas. And you know, longevity and inflammation is so like readily studied, and low-grade inflammation in your mouth is a big source of that, right? So
interesting.
You know, putting your teeth in a certain position just allows you to limit that based on just you cleaning it as regularly as you can. Obviously, the brushing and flossing doesn't go away if you have straight teeth,
of course,
because you have more bacteria than anyone else in your body. But you know, if the peaks and valleys of your teeth meet correctly, and you're taking care of those teeth, then there's no reason why you can't like take your teeth all the way to the end.
Yeah, amazing. I love that. And doesn't your mouth health directly affect your heart health?
100%.
Oh, you guys did it at the same time.
Jinx.
Like how does that?
I mean, the inflammation is a big piece.
Okay.
Right. There's so much that research has been done on immunity and immune source and stuff like that. And I think the big piece is inflammation is also your body working, right? And our bodies have limited resources to fight things and work on things and fix things. So having inflammation with your mouth and your teeth, around your teeth, can take away resources from protecting your heart. Obviously, there's also dental infections can lead to endocarditis, which is infection or inflammation of like cardiac tissue or heart tissue, right? So I mean, and then there's like a ton of other stuff.
Yeah. You know, as like the inflammation thing is like the biggest thing I always talk about with our teams too, that like, yes, we can do a lot of the fun and sexy stuff, you know, make people's teeth straight, veneer them, and they love that. And that's, you know, that's good and great. Yeah. But the most important thing we do in a dental office is control inflammation. I think like that, like if, you know, like I would fight anybody on that, like that premise. Like I really think it's the most important thing we do. So, you know, when you go to the dentist and they're sticking things down your gums and calling out a bunch of numbers, it's really, that's what we're tracking and that's what we're looking for.
Interesting.
Is inflammation, because if, you know, us doing the cleanings and, you know, requiring you to have additional cleanings and come in more often and that kind of thing is all, the premise around it is like we need to get the inflammation under control. Yeah. Because that's the one thing that we do that's not isolated to the mouth. It affects your overall health. Right.
That's beautiful. Because I mean, sure you can get sick from, I mean, just even if the source is your mouth and then it's going through the rest of your body. It's interesting. So, which brings up kind of another point, because I know that like, and I've talked to several successful people, you know, that especially entrepreneurs. We work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and when you throw yourself into your business and you throw yourself into your people and your team and your culture, you know, the one that kind of gets forgotten is the self. And so with a lot of people that I've talked to, they're like, God, I haven't been to the dentist in so long, and I'm like embarrassed to go. What would you say to those people?
You're not alone.
It's like everybody. Yeah. And if it makes anybody feel better, we're probably the worst. Okay. Yeah, we're there every day.
I just have to sit in a chair and get my teeth cleaned.
Yeah.
But I mean, I understand the embarrassment, because it's like you never, the most common thing we see that patients write in our paperwork is they don't want to be judged, or like the most common thing I see when I see reviews that are not great of dentists is like they felt like they were getting berated or judged. And like that is something we consciously, I was like, one, as a human being, I can't imagine doing that to somebody else, because they're like Dr. Patel said, patients come in such a vulnerable position, right? Yeah. And so I think that piece, like connecting with the person, making them understand, it's like, hey, look, we're here to help.
Right.
we're not here to like make you feel bad, right? Like we're here to be a value and a resource to you as like a human being, not necessarily be like, hey, you're not good because you didn't do this, right? And so like it's natural to be like a little bit nervous about that, but that's that's what we created our practice to be, is like a place where people don't have to be ashamed or afraid.
Yeah, and that's such a like common thread in any business that anyone starts, right? Like we have business owners that come to us, usually by the time people are asking us for HR help, something really bad has happened, right? They're not coming, they're like, all our people are happy, things are great, payroll's always on time, like something has happened. And we really, as business owners ourselves, we talk about how like we think like owners because we are owners. And if someone like our CPA, we were like when we were trying to get our books straight, it was like one of these very vulnerable positions of like, I'm in HR, I'm not an accountant, and we'd like handed over our books, and you're just like, and they were so kind with us, and so like, yeah, this is not great, but we're gonna fix it. We're gonna get you on the right path. And so we really like, we want our clients to feel that way of like, yeah, of course you're coming to us with a huge problem, and we're gonna fix it, but also like, I'm not here to embarrass you or make you feel pain or like shame, because why would you want to work with me if I made you feel bad? And I'm sure that patients won't go back to someone who's like, I can't believe you let your mouth get this bad, or this looks horrible, or like, where'd all your teeth go?
Like, why focus on the problem? Focus on the solution.
Solution based. And I think that that's what's so cool about entrepreneur. And I want to like so get into this, and we will, but like you guys are solving a problem for so many people, like a vast amount of people. I don't know how many patients you have, but probably tens of thousands, I would assume, that come into your office. And you have to look at every single one like its own special case. And to do that all day with this like positive solution-based attitude has got to be draining on you guys after a while.
Thank you for saying that.
That's the biggest part. I mean, that's like, I think the biggest part where a lot of times, like even partners, right? Like, like takes a while for people to understand that aren't like doing it. Because emotionally, like we're in, right? Like, when I'm with a patient, I call it on stage and off stage, right? Like I'm on and I'm ready to be there for them. And not only that, it's like emotionally demanding, but like it's a physically demanding job, right? Like talk to any dentist, you'll get like a laundry list of back, shoulder, neck problems, right? Because it's like leaning over
hunched over.
And so like, by the time, if I'm in entire day of patient, I mean, both of us did today, right? It was half day, so like not terrible. But it's physically and emotionally draining for sure. But
how do you manage that?
Sometimes poorly.
Fair. Okay.
But I mean, a lot of that is like really realizing that taking care, like, and now like it's taken years for me to like properly do this, but like taking care of your body, right? Like actually exercising and working out regularly. Because like you have to strengthen those muscles. You're going to get hurt all the time.
And taking care of your mind. I think that's the other big one. I'm big like on meditation and like generally when I have meetings with people, that kind of thing, I don't like sit across from them like in some interview style. I usually like go for a walk. Because in my mind, like when you're outside and some fresh air and just some sunlight, it's always just good for you. You kind of have a little more positive vibe to it all. So so that's what like the self-care side of it is just huge. You really gotta just make sure you're consistent about that.
I'm assuming we're all about the same age. I'm an elder millennial. I'll just say that. And like, and I think that most of us in that kind of world, we were taught to work really, really hard. Don't stop. You got to be excellent. And the self-care was never really taught, at least in my upbringing. It was just like work, get your school done, get your work done, do a good job. We were at an event last night called Disrupt HR, and it was kind of interesting. There's probably 12 speakers, and 2 of those 12 were talking about taking care of the mind. And we talked to our team a lot because people, again, like they don't call HR. No one calls HR to say, thank you so much for my job. I'm so happy. Like we're getting, by the time it gets to us, we're dealing with significant problems that are both risky for the business and possibly for the employee. And, we talk to our team all the time because it's like these people, they may be holding a rock, but they're giving you a pebble. And then you got to take the next call. And again, it's like it's not good, right? So they're giving you a pebble and a pebble and a pebble. And, this goes on for days, weeks, months, years. And eventually this is why you get people burn out. And it's like, it is exhausting, and you're taking all of this stress on. And so we're really trying to like get the team of like, hey, you got to like take a break, take a walk. Like, and this is advice I need to tell myself too, because I can sit down in that office and just crank all day. But like, it is hard. And I think it is really important as business owners and as people who are like, y'all are dealing with some psychology on a pretty
yeah.
deep scale.
Oh yeah.
Every day, all day long.
Yeah. Patients and team.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
We're definitely like part-time therapists for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. And like, so for your team and for your patients.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so how many dentists are on your team?
We have 12 now. 12 or 13. Yeah.
I think it's 14 including us.
Is it?
You got to include yourself.
Something
That's
like
part
that.
of
Yeah.
self-care, right?
Yeah.
You also count. Tell me who, so like Easton Park is going to have its own team. Are you guys going to be in the Easton Park office, or what does that look like?
I'll be like rotating in and out of there
Okay.
a bit too. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's a cool neighborhood. So do you know much about Easton Park?
Yes.
I know a little bit, and that new park that opened, like I took my kids to the opening. That park is sick.
It's
super nice.
It's insane. That slide. Okay, we don't have children, but we have our nephews every other weekend about. And I'm like, whoever built this playground does not have children, because kids could just fall off a 3-story, like they're like
crazy,
right? It's like a fireman's pole or something, but it's like 3 stories up. And our little 2-year-old nephew Sutton, he's like hanging. We're like, no, from the ground. You're like, oh my gosh. But it is very cool architecturally. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Safety wise, I don't think anyone's gotten hurt. I should knock on wood. We're gonna hear something soon, but
I think we're fine.
yeah, don't worry,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Don't worry until you have to.
Yeah.
Have you gone down the slide?
No. We went on opening day,
Well,
so it was
adults allowed to go down the
bananas.
slide?
I'm waiting. There's
Okay.
gonna be some post on Facebook that some dad might have had some drinks and was like, yeah, son, I'll go down the slide. And in my mind's eye, I can just see him like that first curve just like breaking through the plastic and like falling 3 stories. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm convinced it will. I've convinced
I
myself.
think I'm gonna leave
it
some
will.
business cards in that slide. Then.
Yeah, they might
That's
be there.
perfect, actually.
Yeah.
Smart. This
Yeah,
is why we're able to grow.
Exactly. It's called Innovative Solutions for Growth. So tell me what you said. You know some stuff about Easton Park. Like what's your knowledge?
Oh, I mean, just high level. Like I said, I have a bunch of friends that live in the neighborhood, and the fact that it's so kind of isolated from everywhere, but you're so
Yeah.
close to the airport, which is nice,
Yeah.
and your downtown's like 15-20 minutes away. Readily accessible to most parts of town. Obviously, like it's very like green friendly, which is like
Yeah.
super nice. It feels like there's more space out here. Like, I live on the east side, and things are a little more cramped, and part of me gets the itch to be like, being out here seems nice. Even when I walked into your home right now, I was like, oh my God, this place feels so spacious. I love this
cool.
already,
Yeah.
So I really just like the vibe out here. And anytime
the
you're out here,
burbs.
people are just super friendly, which is probably my favorite thing about Austin, honestly. Like, people always ask, like, what do you like about Austin compared to other places? And it's probably the number one thing that like is the biggest draw for me is that people here are just genuinely nice.
And people like adopt the niceness. Like,
Yeah.
I there's a patient that we had. He's from Long Island, right? Like
Okay.
hardcore. Like first
Okay.
time I was like, he was not nice. Like
Okay.
the first time we met him, but he's a cool guy. That's
Yeah.
we were talking to him. This is when we opened our first off, so we had a lot of time just to chit chat, right?
Okay.
And so it was cool to see over like every 6 months we'd see him, and he kind of softens up. Right, like every single time. And then I think that's what Austin does do is kind of people adopt the outward friendliness, and it's like legitimately friendly. Like, I want to talk to you because I just want to get to know you.
Yeah.
So that part, I mean, throughout the experience of having these relationships with patients long term, it's been really cool to see.
Yeah.
Like, especially in that sense. Now he still had like the little bit of the Long Island edge, but it was definitely not as confrontational.
Okay, fair enough. No, that's cool. Austin is such a sunny city. It's such an outside city. Like, I love Austin. And it's small enough, or at least it's still small enough as it's growing rapidly, which is great. Like I kind of grew up in the area. Like I'm ultimately from South Central Texas, and Austin is so different than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Like, but I love watching the city grow. There's like a vibrance to it. And there's, for small business owners, I'm like, bring them on. Like, come to Austin, come experience this, come grow your business here. It's beautiful, and it's a beautiful city. And I just hope, and I think it's done a good job, but I hope it keeps that special Austin tightness.
Yeah.
But it's a cool city.
I feel like it has thus far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really do. It doesn't seem like we've really made this whole personality shift here quite yet, which is great.
Yeah. it still feels like a small town.
It definitely has that like local support, local business feel, like hardcore, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Because it just like you said, I feel like that adds vibrance to the city, because it's not like I'm seeing the same place in like 10 different places, right? Like each neighborhood has its own version of what's happening, which is also super cool.
It is really cool, and it's growing fast, but it is like I do think it's kept that like beautiful vibrance. And I do love that about Austin is that small business owners help each other. And one of my mentors had mentioned to me at one point, he's like, you know, when like shit gets hard, the big like Google can leave, Indeed can leave, like LinkedIn can leave, all these places can leave, but what is left is us. And we have to work around each other, and we have to support one another. And we saw like by evidence of COVID. So like how did COVID affect the dentistry world? Because I'm sure it was, you guys are in people's mouths, which was like at the time terrifying.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Like I still remember walking up and down Manchac, like right next to our South Lamar office, be like, I think we're gonna have to close this thing. But it was just a lot of not knowing what to do, right? Not knowing what was the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, or what we were even allowed to do.
Right.
So it took like, I mean, we had a lot of free time, which I guess was a plus, but it was like talking to as many people as you can. The dental board was like sort of giving us advice on how to handle it, but they didn't really know.
Sure.
So, I mean, we were closed for 3 weeks, I think, like fully.
Okay.
We had like one office for sort of emergencies only.
Okay.
And then, we opened up like middle of May or beginning of May, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And and even that whole time period, because it was like hospitals were really slammed, so they didn't want dental emergencies going there. So they did want dentists to have some level of like, hey, see emergencies. So we were able to kind of trickle everybody to one place and be able to do that. But even then, you're kind of nervous. You didn't know what to expect. Like, you know, someone's coming in, and the mouth is probably one of the ways you're definitely getting
you're definitely gonna get COVID.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And so like, it was all scary to say the least. But but there was also like I felt like there was some sense of like duty involved in it too, right? Because it's like, hey, like, in the grand scheme of things, if people are going to the hospital with dental emergencies, like we're, something more critical is being basically neglected in that moment, right?
Sure.
So being able to help in that way was kind of cool. And what we did is, because the supplies and all that was kind of hard, so we had a bunch of extra masks and gloves and things like that. So we donated them to like different hospitals and ER groups and that kind of thing, just because obviously they were going to need it without them being able to get it whenever they needed it. So.
Right. Remember the masks were a thing.
Yeah, we weren't going to be using them at least for a little while, or like an unknown amount of time, right?
Right. And not at the same level that they were.
Definitely
even if
not.
like you're so what would constitute a dental emergency like during COVID?
Like toothaches that cause infections.
Okay.
So when you get swellings and that kind of
like
thing.
An abscess or something.
Yeah, exactly. So those were the things that were like, people were going to hospitals for. People always go to hospitals for those kinds of things, especially like late at night. But they usually just end up sending them to the dentist anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. So for like from an educational purpose, even just for like we do a lot of benefit administration, and people sign up for dental insurance and they're like, I get one cleaning a year. Like, what do I do with it? So can you kind of walk us through what maybe like the life cycle of a year of dentistry should look like for someone who has like a generally healthy mouth?
Yeah. It's pretty straightforward, right? Let's say we open our Easton Park location and like you come in. If you're generally healthy, you don't really have anything going on, it's pretty straightforward. You come in for your initial exam. That initial exam, typically, we take a little bit longer. We do about 90 minutes for that, just because we want to make sure we have the time to like obviously connect with you as a person.
Sure.
And if there's something going on, we want to make sure we have time to actually talk to you about it instead of being like, hey, you need 2 fillings, I gotta go,
Right.
But a lot of that is just really getting a baseline of your overall dental health, checking your gums, doing those measurements that he alluded to.
Yeah.
Checking your teeth, reviewing radiographs. We do a 3D scan of your teeth too, so we can really look at your teeth. You can see what we're seeing. And then, if you're healthy, we do a cleaning. And then essentially it's every 6 months we do a checkup and cleaning.
Cool.
We do x-rays once a year just to make sure there's nothing new happening, or if there's stuff that we're watching, making sure it's not progressing. And it's pretty easy. Like, you just have to make it like clockwork.
Yeah. Yeah. Like everything, right? Just like I would say in moderation, but it's like the opposite, just like routine. You just need to routinely go in and like, but it's the dentist.
So, it's funny you mention that. Like, There's definitely like a dichotomy of the dental patient that I've like noticed, and
Okay.
this is very anecdotal.
Okay.
But like one thing I've noticed is that people who floss very, very regularly love going to the dentist because it's like a spa. You go in there, you get your teeth clean, you just kind of hang out, and you're done, right?
Yeah.
And then the people who don't floss are the ones who generally have a harder time going to the dentist.
Okay.
Just because they end up having more teeth problems, right? So a lot of the stuff that people don't like about the dentist is that's usually where it comes from, right?
So you should floss.
Just floss your teeth.
Just floss.
Just
And
floss.
like I do have a secret. Like most dentists are people pleasers. Like the majority of us.
Really?
So like when you like we look at the X-rays, I'm like, there's like I was like I have to have a conversation with the patient. Like there's some cavities, and I'm dreading. I'm like I do not want to tell.
Oh, the
I
bad
like do
news.
not want to have this conversation. I mean, we have to coach our docs on like we have to educate our patients on the problems that are going on, even if it doesn't feel good. And I mean that's the piece. Like we don't like telling people bad news either.
Yeah, who does? Who does?
Yeah.
No one does.
Especially on a Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like,
Sorry.
we close at noon, but
Yeah.
we got to chat until 2 or
Yeah,
whatever. Like,
yeah.
got some bad news. Interesting. So that is tough, right? No one wants bad news, but you're
Yeah.
talking a lot about like train our docs and train our staff. Like, so what have y'all put together a training program for your kind of your business as a whole so that the culture feels the same in every office, or what is that strategy?
So one of the things that we do kind of pride ourselves on is having some level of like when you go to all the offices, they all have their own personality, right? Each neighborhood has its own personality and feel, and the patients that come into that office have a certain personality and feel, and even with the teams, right? Like like people who are on the south side of town, if they live further out, like we accommodate our hours to our teams a certain way
Cool.
too. It's just kind of the modern world now, right? Like so we some level of standardization based on, hey, we want to make sure we have certain records, we want to make sure we're taking one of those 3D scans he was talking about. We take it annually in everybody. And one of the cool things about that is we can actually overlay scans from different years and see what,
Cool.
see what the, what more damage, quote unquote, has been done.
Sure.
So, it just, transparency is really important to us. So some of those fundamental things are the same across the board, but there's always like a sprinkle of differences across each office.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
People are different, right? Like,
At the end of the day, people can't be the same.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
and a lot of my like conversations, especially like more frequently recently too, are around some of those things that you mentioned, right? Like how do we talk to patients? What is the mindset that we need to have with each other too as a team?
Sure, of course.
And like making sure we're like really touching on certain things with people to make sure that they feel like they're getting taken care of, right?
Yeah.
So I think those are constant conversations that we have to have. And as we've grown, that's been like a really hard thing for us to figure out.
Yeah, it's hard.
Right. Like when it was just me and him in the office, like that was dialed in. Right. Like it was.
sure.
it was so. I gotta tell you the story
Okay.
about how dialed in. So,
Okay.
so when Hardik goes into a room, he has the exact same spill every single time,
revealing my secrets.
and it was really funny because I actually used to piggyback off of it. If he
Okay.
was seeing a new patient at the same time I was seeing a new patient, I would tell my patient, I was like, hey, there's going to be about this 10-second window here where we won't be able to hear ourselves talk. So we're going to have to let that time pass by before we continue our exam. And what I mean by that is Hardik in the other room, he introduces himself. After he introduces himself, he tells him the short version of his name. He's like, hi, my name is Dr. Chodavadia. I go by Dr. C. It's a little easier to remember. And then he does his laugh, and his laugh is very loud. It's a very prominent laugh, and it echoes throughout the whole office. So you literally cannot hear anything else.
Okay.
And so when that laugh happens, me and my patient, that's because the biggest thing that we do when patient comes in is you got to be able to connect with somebody quickly.
Right.
So Hardik used
trust.
to really help me connect with patients very quickly by being able to be like, hey, you're gonna hear this laugh, and once that laugh goes, then you and I can have our conversation.
That's actually really cool, though. What the best way to put people at ease?
Exactly.
And while we're talking about laughing, because I did some research, and there's another interview with you where you have you were apparently I laugh, and then some people try to laugh. You do just stop laughing.
So
it's like a thing. I've noticed it.
I didn't know this was weird. I went until Sony, my wife.
Okay.
We were, I think, dating in dental school when she told me. So I'm 20 plus years in. No one has told me this.
20 plus years into life.
Into life. Yeah. I'm 24. And I've laughed the same way my whole life. And so my wife tells me that. I'm like, what the heck? No one has said this. And actually, if you're around me and my cousins I grew up with and my brother, we apparently do the same thing. And we stop at the same time.
Oh.
So my wife was like hanging out with all of us and she's like laughing. And then we just stop and she's like, what's going on? This is weird.
Are you just like done being fun? Like you're just like, okay, it's not funny anymore?
I don't know. It's just how I laugh.
It is. It's really.
I was like, I'm ready to move on now.
Like joke's over.
Yeah. We're like,
Speaking
let's keep going.
I have a joke for you.
Okay.
I was looking at jokes to tell you guys. What award did the dentist get?
A plaque.
Yes.
Oh, I was like, I need to lose this one. Yeah.
It's more of a riddle but it was so cute. So you laugh and then you stop laughing.
Yep.
Which I think also I would imagine is because you're like, it will be exactly 10 seconds. You could like really.
It
know.
was
I could sit there and go,
perfect time.
Mississippi 2, Mississippi 3. Yeah, it was
and
just.
It stops. That is interesting. So ever since then, are you like, you're just like, this is how I laugh? Are you still?
I don't think about it.
Okay.
Most of the time, unless we're talking about it, then I'm very conscious of it.
Okay.
But then I still do it. Like I have no way to stop.
Well, like to not stop.
Yeah, to not stop. There you go. It's just.
It is interesting.
I did not know it was weird until my wife told me.
Okay. Also, in your last situation, I understand you have a really unique skill.
Yes.
What is it?
So I do beatbox.
Okay.
I was known for beatboxing a lot when I was in college. So
Did you have a special name, a nickname?
So not a beatboxing name. I do have a DJ name.
Okay.
So when I was when I was my dream was to become a DJ, like when I was in high school. And
Okay.
I had like, the classic Indian parent that's like, hey, you need to study, like stop. Like this is dumb. And then one time I asked my dad, hey, can I get DJ equipment? He's like, thought about it. He's like, how much is it? I was like, I don't want to tell you because it's like $2,000. And he's like, absolutely not. But my email at the time was djfunkbomb01@yahoo.com.
Is it still active?
It is still active. Awesome. And then I went to like one of these college things where you like information session. He saw me write it down and he's like, you can't have that as your email. But yeah, so that I guess technically would be my beatbox name. I was in a band called called Parle G, which is like an Indian biscuit. Like it's an Indian cracker or cookie. And I was the beatboxer in that band.
Can you give us a little sample?
Okay. All right. Should I? Okay.
You're like Matasayahu. That's amazing. You know
I
him, right?
loved him.
I figured you would.
Huge fan.
Yeah, like,
huge fan.
Amazing. What's your favorite song?
I don't remember anymore.
He's great.
I used to. I had his first album and I listened to it like 100 times. I have not listened to him in a very long time.
There's this like really one-off. I don't know what he was just like him. He did a version of Tracy Chapman Fast Car. Have you ever seen that?
I have not.
Well, that's the next thing that you need to do.
Okay.
It's great. You should watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's change your life. Do you do Mariah Carey karaoke?
I do like me some karaoke. It's
Egos. You can find them there.
No
That's
way.
like my favorite spot. You know when they like talked about closing that place down, I was so heartbroken. I was like, Austin's changed. I'm leaving.
Without egos.
That's all it took.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
I mean, it is what it is.
You're not
I
scared.
have to.
Yeah, I do. I feel like you put him on the spot. It's only fair.
Yeah.
What Mariah Carey song are we going to do when we're there?
Oh. Let's do Fantasy.
Oh, amazing.
It's from, do y'all remember Rush Hour?
Yes.
Yes.
Rush Hour 1.
Yeah.
I think they're overdue for another Rush Hour, actually.
Didn't they have like a fourth one recently? Walk by every night, talking sweet and looking fine. I get kinda hectic inside. Oh baby, I'm so into you, darling. If you only knew all the things that go through my mind. But it's just a sweet, sweet fantasy, baby. All right, that's it. That's all I got.
I loved it.
The falsetto was amazing.
I was waiting to see where you were going to go with that. And so Easton Park, these guys could be your dentists. Like, they're the coolest dentists. Y'all do have like a really cool vibe. Like,
Thank you.
Just, and your like social media shows it, your website shows it. Like, you're very comfortable to be around. Like, seem like you have a lot of passion for what you do. I mean, I would hope you do. You know, dentists got to really feel like
It's
you put
important.
a lot into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So, Sour candy. I love sour candy.
Sour candy is amazing.
Yeah.
It is literally the worst thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
The worst thing for your teeth.
Even if you brush right after?
Do not brush immediately after, actually.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
actually
like a
worse.
lemon or a lime.
Right,
Like,
right.
oh,
That's
enamel.
like one of the things that like is such a misconception. You should never ever brush your teeth right after you eat a meal. Just immediately.
Even like a regular, like a...
Just right after a meal, because that's when like the acid levels in your mouth are the highest. And so it, that actually weakens the enamel. So if you're like sitting there abrading it, it's actually not a good thing. You want to at least wait about 30 minutes before you brush your teeth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Flossing is fine.
Flossing is great. Flossing is always great. Always.
Those little picks, the little things.
No.
No?
String.
It's not the same?
So if you use the pick, it's
Better than nothing, maybe?
better than nothing for
Okay.
sure.
For sure.
But think of it this way. You're cleaning in between, but if you're using that same little section, you're now transferring bacteria from one spot to another
Ew.
too. So it's kind of gross a little bit.
Yeah.
So
oh,
the
you're
string,
like moving it from... Oh,
yeah. So the string, you're supposed to like have a section, and then like every time that's why you have they say an
long.
arm's length
Yeah,
piece.
because you're supposed to like move it down. Right?
Yeah.
I remember.
And wrap it around your middle finger. Don't wrap it around your index finger.
Both middle fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wrap it around your... I see what you did there.
Oh.
Yeah, that lady's not doing it right.
Yeah, that's wrong. That's the wrong finger.
Seems like a hard angle, actually.
Yeah. How'd she
Yeah, how did she do that? Maybe it was someone else. So what about this? The last time I went to the dentist, they were like, you should tape your mouth shut when you sleep. And I was like, that sounds horrible. You should, everyone
it's
should?
great. I don't know about everyone, but if you're a mouth breather, then
Apparently
yeah.
I'm a mouth breather.
Yeah, I could not do it before my surgery. I had a deviated septum where I could barely breathe through my nose. So
Okay.
if you can't breathe through your nose, then definitely don't do it.
Oh, for the breathing.
Yeah, but
Well, we were deviated septum twins.
that's true.
Yeah, we both had like the exact same procedure done with the exact same blockage on both.
Same surgeon.
Same surgeon.
Did y'all
yeah.
gonna fight together at the
No.
same time? Like what? How do y'all know each other? It seems like you very much know each other.
Well, we both went to dental school together.
Okay.
So first day of dental school, I would go and sit in the back of the class just so I can get a good scope of what's going on.
Okay.
I hear this really loud, shrill laughter, and I was like, I hate this person, whoever it is. Turns out it was him. Nothing's changed. That's still
Yeah.
true today.
Okay. But now you love it.
Yeah.
I mean, love is a strong word, probably.
That's funny.
But yeah.
Okay, so but taping your mouth shut how is that good for your teeth?
Oh, so we can go down this airway rabbit hole forever. This is like my new favorite thing that
Okay.
I'm like talking about, preaching about everywhere we go. But so basically, when you're taping your mouth, now you're basically forcing yourself to breathe through your nose. So when you breathe through your nose, it's the most optimal way of breathing.
Okay.
Because it warms the air. It allows some nitric oxide, so you can actually extract more oxygen from breathing through your nose. And your nose filters the air, right? Think of your mouth as like a fail safe. If you're breathing through your mouth, it's just to keep you alive. But ideally, you want to be breathing through your nose. So when you're taping your mouth shut, it's more about you'll just sleep a lot better and you'll just get more rest, right?
Okay.
Because when you sleep with your mouth open, it dries your mouth out. And a dry mouth means there's not enough salivary flow, so it increases your risk of cavities and it drying out your gums, which can lead to inflammation. So yeah, you just want to make sure you keep your mouth closed when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
All right. So is there special tape?
They make a bunch of different stuff now. I mean, go
Amazon.
to Instagram. I'm sure now that we're talking about it, you're probably going to get a few ads.
Sure.
Yeah, it's crazy how that works, right? Like
They
all of a
have
sudden.
special tape for people with beards.
I was just gonna ask, what would you do?
Yeah, so they have beard mouth tape.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it doesn't
what?
like hurt when you.
I don't use it.
Okay.
I have sleep apnea. So what
Oh.
he's talking about is like ultimately that's a consequence. So
Oh.
I have a oral appliance like a hardcore mouth guard basically that helps me not have sleep apnea.
Got
Yeah.
you.
And that's one thing that we're like really, about in our work now is so sleep apnea. Most of the signs and symptoms show up in the mouth.
Wow.
And so when you go into the doctor, you're not like, when was the last time you had a medical checkup and they talked to you about how are you sleeping, right?
So I go to a cardiologist,
Yeah.
and so he's always very worried about my sleep.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Cardios are definitely like more in tune with that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But a lot of the things that like the actual size of your airway and how your tongue and how it falls back in the back of your mouth
Yeah.
and snoring and all those things affect how you sleep at night. And So when we see those things, we screen patients for, potential sleep apnea and then, get them into a sleep doctor to get tested. Now, sleep testing is like, people think of that as like this, and it used to be like this where you had to go to a lab and they'd strap a bunch of things on you and you'd sleep in this random place and somebody's watching you all night. Let me tell you how great people must sleep in those environments.
Who's falling asleep like that?
It's just like,
but like, it's 2024. You can do everything remotely now. So you just clip something on your finger.
Yeah, it's like
you
a
go
watch.
to sleep and, you wake up in the morning and, the data remotely goes over to the sleep doctor. They do a telehealth visit, tell you kind of how you're sleeping, what your sleep health looks like. And I always tell patients now, I'm like, you sleep for a third of your life. Like, don't you want to know how well you're doing that?
Yeah.
Definitely. I think everybody should do a sleep study.
Well, like the Apple Watches do, like, track your sleep.
Yeah,
is it kind of similar to where they're like, you woke up, you were in REM sleep, you were not, like, it's really amazing.
A lot of it's just like, FDA clearance and being, there's...
Yeah, like for it to really matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, like, I love these devices. Like, you can really track, like, how optimally you're sleeping, but...
Sure.
But you'll really notice if you do have sleep apnea and whether you're using a CPAP or an oral appliance or whatever the case may be, like you really it really impacts your sleep, but more importantly, really impacts your health. You just because inflammation, like we've talked about, like what happens when you have sleep apnea? It just means that you're not getting enough oxygen to all your organs, and which leads to hypoxia, which increases inflammation, so it deteriorates those organs, and so. A lot of different medical conditions, like people with uncontrolled diabetes, uncontrolled hypertension. Your risk of stroke goes up by a lot. Like people, like there's a lot of like odds ratios comparisons where you could be a chronic smoker or you can have untreated sleep apnea, and you'll have double the risk of having a heart attack being uncontrolled sleep apnea than being a smoker.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. So smoking, talking about this in the mouth, like smoking has gone down. Like it's not super popular anymore.
It's not.
But when you see it, like, can you tell if someone's smoking by their teeth or by their mouth?
Yes and no.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yes and like a lot. If it's like proper like cigarettes and stuff like that, there's generally like a lot more staining and like a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And like they're guaranteed to have gum disease if they're smokers. It's
almost like
you
100%.
can check that box almost immediately.
Like gingivitis and that.
Right.
Interesting. Right. It's just so crazy. I mean, I guess it's not that crazy, but to a non-doctor, like to you guys, this is normal. But it's just like to remember that literally everything in your surrounding environment and that you put inside of you, whether it's the air that you're breathing or the food that you're like, it's gonna like make a difference in your entire body. It's so crazy. So crazy. Like I have a cousin who's he's a PA, but he does orthopedic surgery with an orthopedic surgeon, and he's like, we see so many people that at a certain point, like you can just tell, like they do a lot of knees and shoulders and elbows and stuff, and he's just like, when you get a 400 500 pound guy on the table and you're redoing his knees, you're like, why are we the problem is not the knee. I mean, the problem is the knee, and like he needs to be able to walk or she needs to be able to walk, but like it's like, hey, we need to really talk about like diet and like what kind of exercise can you do, and it's just so I mean, it's every aspect of your life is so important. Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Everything is. It's annoying how connected everything is.
Yeah.
Can we just compartimize, please?
Right. Like my mouth is my mouth. My heart is my heart. Like, no, it's wild. So you guys, like dentists, like it's an uncomfortable place for people to go.
Yep.
You guys, it's generally like there's some level of discomfort, whether it's pain or like the poking or whatever. Like. For yourself, so you guys are talking about taking care of like your mental health and your physical health and all of that. How can patients prepare to go to the dentist in a way that's like most comfortable for them?
Floss.
Yeah.
Everybody floss.
Yeah. So, one of the things that like is actually becomes a pattern and patients have kind of told me this in the past too, where if they're going regularly to the dentist, even if they're not flossing regularly, when they know they have a dental visit coming up, they just start flossing more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that in itself is a win. Obviously you're going to go in there and get your teeth cleaned and all that kind of stuff. But even just like your habits get better, and then you go to the dentist, and then you're good about flossing for the next 4 to 6 weeks. And then, you're really just helping yourself by doing some things at home that are very much just the basic, like, your teeth, of all the aspects of your health, your teeth are almost one of the most easiest things to take care of, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, for us, probably not for you. I would imagine the schooling for dentistry, like, and to become a doctor. I mean, you're like,
I'm talking about from a patient perspective.
Yeah, like, what you guys did was really hard, and thank you for doing all of that for us and our teeth. And, thank you for your service. But like, it is, you're right. Like, it's right here. We can take care of it. It's not like your heart or your lungs or.
Takes you like 3 minutes in the morning.
Focusing on prevention is the easiest way. Like I think I said this phrase like 10 times today, is like prevention is easier than intervention.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
But yeah, that's like, it's the hardest because it requires consistency, which like as humans, consistency is like the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, it really is. Why?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there's been studies but it is hard to stay consistent. Really with anything.
But with most things, like especially health related, right? Eating healthy, like it's cumbersome, it's expensive. There's right? Even like
mindful.
Even exercise, right? Exercise, like, now you got to shower and like, there's always some level it's difficult and whatever, right? But I've just always made this argument about like your oral health. It's not expensive. It's not time consuming. Like anybody can do it. It's just being intentional about it. You know?
Yeah, and most people are brushing their teeth every morning and night.
Absolutely,
right? Like you're from the time you're like a very small child, like.
And I think it's because it's also like gratifying, right? When you brush your teeth, it feels minty clean.
Good.
The flossing, there's no like reward for flossing, right? You do it and you don't really feel like you did anything, right? Maybe you just don't have food in your teeth or whatever.
I don't know. I got to tell you, this is kind of gross, but maybe not to you guys. I love those little, like after a meal, those little, like I hate having like, and it's like, it is instant gratification. You're like, oh, gross. Like got that out of it. You're like, cool. That feels good. But in the morning,
If you ever like have anyone doubting about like if you should floss or not, just have them floss once and smell the floss.
Ew.
It's real gross.
I would imagine. Like,
you're like, I should clean in there because that's in my mouth.
Yeah, like, well, even Steve and I are both, anytime you want to have good breath, right? You never want to like, especially when you get close talkers and you're like, oh, that's so offensive when they're like, even if it's coffee breath, but like when it's like bad breath, it's, I don't know, we're both very like, you got any Listerine, whatever. Yeah. But like, that's like the worst thing is to have bad breath, right? Like to me, I'm always like, am I good? Before you go to a meeting or like talk to anyone, and like to smell like floss would be, it's like the source.
Yeah. So like the medical term for it is halitosis, and the two places where this bacteria mainly hang out is in between your teeth and the back of your tongue. So tongue scraping is actually like super clutch if you're worried about bad breath. Like I
love scraping my tongue.
Yeah, clean your tongue.
So satisfying.
Too, that was a horrible motion I just did. We'll cut that out. But no, I love to like. You can brush your. I mean, I brush my tongue. Like, brush
I think tongue scrapers. You can brush it. Yeah, I mean, whatever you're doing, just clean the gunk off your tongue.
I use old school metal.
Yeah.
So
it's like an Indian thing.
Yeah, it's like this like 20-cent tiny metal like U-shaped thing, and that's what you use to scrape our tongue. It is so sad. It's gross, like how much stuff comes off your tongue when you do that, but it's so satisfying.
Yeah, well, then like, I would have been there all day. Yeah. Gross. And then it just probably builds. I don't know.
Because your tongue is like not solid. Like you look at it and you're like, it's a solid thing, but it's like has these little ridges and folds, and like it's like, it's where stuff lives. Yeah,
so tell me, like, how involved are you guys with the uvula? Well, is that the thing, like the hanging thing?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you're looking at it because a lot of like even sleep apnea signs are can be seen. If you have like a swollen uvula, it's a sign of sleep apnea.
It's like, where'd you get that from? And I'll tell you where. I'm a big Bob's Burgers fan. I don't know. Okay, so Dr. Yap is my fave, and I don't know. I love Dr. Yap. I love when he goes, dental damn. He's so funny. But that's where I got the uvula question from. An interesting one. Thanks. Awesome. So now that Steve's probably going to edit that, is there anything else you want to talk about? All right. Well, guys, thank you for hanging out and performing and talking about your art of dentistry and beatboxing, and Mariah Carey is awesome.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. So you're going to open in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
Are you taking appointments now?
Yeah. So we should be able to, book an appointment at whatever time you need. We have a few different ways to do it. Now, it's different from when we started our first office almost 10 years ago. You just would have to call, and then hopefully one of us was there.
Okay.
Right? Or my girlfriend at the time.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Writing appointments down.
Yeah, basically.
But now with, obviously we have multiple locations and managing new technologies and making it as simple as possible for everyone to book. Because I know, like, the more resistance there is for me to do something that I kind of don't want to do, Like
Right.
the likelihood I'm not going to do it is going to be there, right? So it's pretty straightforward. There's a few different ways for patients to book online.
Okay.
The easiest way, in my opinion, is just go online, right? If you go to our website, enameldentistry.com, and you click the book now button, really all you have to do is either enter in your zip code and it'll find the nearest location to you, and you just click book now. And then pretty straightforward process. You enter your name, and then you can pick whatever time works for you. You pick the type of appointment that you want as well.
Awesome.
And then, that's pretty much it. You can enter in your insurance information through that as well. Now, if you're old school like me, I still kind of call. I don't know. I just like doing it. So you can also call the number on the website too. And we have some amazing people on the phones that will help find an appointment that works for you.
Great.
And if you don't even want to go to our website, if you just search us on Google Maps, there's a link that you can just click to book.
Perfect.
So it's super simple.
Make it easy.
Like as easy as we can possibly make it. And that way you can book your appointment. We're hoping that it'll be nice and busy for us to start. We're excited to serve the whole Easton Park community. We signed this lease in 2020, guys. So we have been waiting a long time to help.
Oh, that's so fascinating. We're glad you're here. It's going to be great. It's going to be so great. And I think that it's something that the neighborhood is going to really embrace. And like I said, it's a very micro economy, and people don't like to leave. They don't want to leave. Like anything, like people go to CVS for probably like stuff to make for dinner sometimes. They're like, who cares? It's 3x the cost of HEB down the street. I don't want to go anywhere. So I think it's going to be great. And so just to be clear for everyone in Easton Park and around, like you guys serve kids and families and everyone.
Yep. I like to say 0 to 120. Okay. So I've done little tiny baby exams. I've seen grandmas, like whole families. We offer a lot of flexible scheduling, right? So if you do have a family that you guys want to come in all at the same time, it's probably easiest to call so we can accommodate getting everyone in at like a normal time, because sometimes online booking like 4 people can be difficult.
Oh sure, yeah. And I'm sure sometimes multiple people might be booking at the same time.
Sure.
And you're like, oh yeah, I can get these 3 appointments, and then you go to do the next one, it's gone.
Exactly.
So call if they want to book their whole family at one time, which you guys are happy to take,
of course,
the whole fam at once. Is there anything else that you want to share with Easton Park?
Yeah. Well, the other thing, as far as like the appointment scheduling stuff goes, we also make it very convenient for you to fill out your paperwork online before you come in.
Yep.
Awesome.
So, you always have to go to the doctor's office early to fill out paperwork. And we just like, people don't necessarily want to do that, and it makes it easy for you to just, if you have your paperwork done, you can just come in and you'll be just brought back pretty quickly and just get through your appointment quicker.
Awesome. How long does a cleaning, just a general cleaning, like your normal cleaning take?
Well, we schedule like your first visit. We usually schedule it for 90 minutes.
Okay.
But if you have a lot going on, it may take the full 90.
Sure.
If you don't have a lot going on, you'll probably be out in an hour. So it really just depends on that. And after that, we every other your routine 6-month appointment is an hour.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So in and out.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
No big deal.
The goal is to be as quick as possible, right?
Yeah.
I always say, like, if you're quick and it's easy, then like everyone is happy, including us and you guys, because everyone has busy lives, right? Like no one really wants to hang out with me as much as I want them to.
Yeah. Well, you guys it's really been fun, and I'm so thankful that you spent some time with us. We're very excited. I can just kind of speak for the community because people have been talking about it. It's going to be great to have you guys here, and I think that we're going to keep you really busy.
Awesome. Well, I'd love to hear it.
Awesome. Well, then we'll see you guys soon.
Yay.
We did it.
Walk by every night, talking sweet and looking fine. I get kind of hectic inside. Oh, baby, I'm so into you. Darling, if you only knew all the things that go through my mind.